This is the AI Assisted Organization podcast, hosted by myself, Piers and my co-host and co-founder of Implement AI, Dr. Aalok Shukla. Hi, Aalok.
Hey, Piers, how are you?
Bit of a gap there, a few holidays. So we tried to do this when I was in Greece, but the Wi-Fi was just rubbish, so we couldn't really upload it. But here we are, we're back. We should probably take August off in future, I think, next year.
I think we kind of did.
Yeah, we kind of did, actually, right. So again, we've sort of trawled through the news over the last 2 or 3 weeks, but the AI for business news, which is what this podcast is focused on, so that you don't have to. And there's quite a bit going on. There's nothing groundbreaking, or I think it's just some incremental developments. There's quite a few things that we've been talking about for quite some time, which you're now seeing happening, which is good news, and we'll cover that. And also the theme today, this podcast is AI for business news, and then we have a theme each week. So it's about strategy, insights, how to put AI to work. And it's the big one this week. So we're going to talk a bit about what we've been doing and the feedback that we've had over the last 18 months from various customers and what we developed as a result of that, which is our AI agent platform, which is really exciting. So hopefully you'll find that of interest. And also that theme as well, it's just about learning about AI agents and the power of them and why and how you should implement them in your business. So let's get on with it. So AI for business news. So really interesting. I mean, it's not always something you're going to use, but increasingly you probably will do over time, depending on how complicated your business is and specific kind of use cases. But you can now fine tune OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.0 for Omni. Now, if that means nothing to you, that's fine. But typically, you've got a lot of people using ChatGPT 4.0 through the browser, through the chat app, essentially. We tend to use it through the API in our applications as well. But also, if you've got some sort of specific kind of use case, or you need its performance, or need it to be sort of accurate in specific ways, you can now train it. And this is quite interesting. This is more for developers, so it's not something you're going to do yourself. And again, these things can be more expensive than perhaps you want them to be in terms of having the ROI that you want. But this is a real opportunity, really, to start us to be able to leverage and customize AI. We always say that we have a chart in our presentations where it's like an onion, really. So in the middle, you've got it's actually it's a three-dimensional, but it's like an onion where you start with a chatbot, then you move out to kind of generalist AI, then you got specialist AI, then you might have custom AI, fine-tuned AI, and eventually you build your own models, which is going to become affordable eventually. Now it costs you tens of millions, but in not too distant future, it'll be tens of thousands, maybe even less than that. So if you're in the middle, it's like spell check. Everybody's got that. But as you start to move out and add more value and make it more specific, make it more sort of fine-tuned to your business, how you want to operate, you can add more value and create competitive advantage. What do you think, Aalok?
No, I agree. Like, I mean, if you're trying to get better performance, more relevant for your business, you've got two dimensions. You can prompt engineer, so you can write the right prompts, spend a lot of time setting all that up, the right context window, all of those different elements. But then at the same time, on the other dimension, you can actually fine tune the model to actually be more of your specific use case, more of the jargon, more of the information, more of the kind of style up the output. And I think like now the fact that we've got so many things available, honestly, it's like we have very powerful tools and very powerful abilities to customize things. And it's exactly like you said, Piers, you have to customize it to your own business. And we're going to discuss that a bit later on when we're talking about our agent platform, because you have to move beyond what everyone else is doing. You have to, you have to go beyond that, basically, isn't it? Otherwise, you just...
Well, you've got to use it first, then learn how to use it properly, which that's why we have a training academy. So you actually get the best out of it. And then, as you just said there, start moving beyond what everybody else has got. It's not massively important now, but eventually you're going to see in that kind of exponential kind of curve, everyone clamoring to use this technology because they're going to have to stay competitive. When they start doing that, you need to move ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much people follow stuff on LinkedIn, but like you'll see different levels of, for example, where some people are using AI within some part of their marketing outreach or something like this, and then a certain thing will be working for a certain amount of time, so they'll get like an incremental advantage over a period of time. And it's like those things, right? That these pockets of advantage they're not these islands of advantage, let's call it. They're not permanent islands. They don't stay there forever. So the more you experiment with it, the more you use it, the more you can go hop ahead, basically, isn't it? So anyway, it's quite powerful.
Let's move on. So interesting. This is really interesting given Microsoft's relationship with OpenAI. But Microsoft are now expanding its own AI capability. You've now got Microsoft AI, which is run by Mustafa Suleiman, one of the co-founders of Google DeepMind, interestingly. And they've launched 3 new 3.5 models. I'm not going to go into huge detail about what they do, but they're kind of sort of smaller models, although they've got billions of parameters. And also they've got a mixture of experts, and also they're sort of they're able to sort of see as well. So this is quite interesting in terms of the Microsoft understand that they have this huge investment in OpenAI, but they're not putting all the eggs in that basket. They are developing their own technology. It's going to be interesting to see whether the competition authorities will let them, whether they end up merge or buying OpenAI, or eventually they use what I'm not sure how much access they've got to the underlying technology and what they use to develop their own technologies. Because again, this is why these companies are throwing literally billions at this, is that it's kind of a winner takes all opportunity. So these signal that Microsoft is absolutely, again, committed to AI, and they're again throwing millions at OpenAI, and I'm pretty sure that internally they're doing the same thing. It's going to be interesting to see which part of their business wins out in terms of the AI capability.
I think like because they've got quite a good device business, they need to have like their own models which can run locally as well. And I think like after last year, or if I forget, this year, when Apple announced all of its kind of like cognitive, Apple intelligent, its intelligence, Apple Intelligence, and it had similar features to what Microsoft had announced previously with their Rewind or different things like this. I think Microsoft wants to make sure they hedge their bets. They can always offer something different. And I think having smaller models which can run on devices, Surface laptops, maybe even headphones, different things like this, I think it's going to be, there's going to be lots of new innovations coming.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's quite interesting that you're right that the concepts of the AI PC or AI laptop is something which we've already seen, but you can't run the big models on these things. They need to be connected to the internet, and there's a cost. So you're absolutely right. This is perhaps where Microsoft wants to embed this. Intel, I've been approached personally actually by Intel looking at sort of helping them sort of publicize this stuff, but in their chips about being built basically to run this technology locally. And we are going to see more and more. And again, we don't go for every week now, all different models that have been launched, different sizes, different types. I mean, Microsoft's Fire model's got this Vision one, there's a video version. There are just so many of them. But you're increasingly seeing open source, and then also these smaller models that can be run locally. And then moving on, some other big news really. We've talked about this a lot, and but it is really interesting. So if you have ever tried text to image, so creating images using artificial intelligence, this is something that's very visual. People enjoy this. It can be quite powerful. In a business, it's a great way of creating images that you've not been able to create before. You've had to buy them from stock or pay a designer to create them for you. But now Midjourney was always in Discord, which is quite sort of techie kind of server chat interface, essentially, that people didn't really want to use. And they launched Midjourney on the web. We had to be quite a power user, so you couldn't really access it. And I use it quite a lot, even I couldn't access it. But now, it happened about a week ago. So Midjourney, I'm going to open the Midjourney website to everybody. And also, because they're competing with new entrants into the market, there are quite a few of them, they've actually made, there's quite a few free trial options on there. So if you've never used Midjourney, maybe you've used Dali and other ones like maybe Runway ML, but go to the website. So it's Midjourney, midjourney, one word.com, and just have a play with it. It is still one of the best in terms of having those real sort of photorealistic images, one of the best text to image players out there, the best platforms out there. So kind of a play with it. It'll blow your mind. So I mentioned it before, that was in Discord. Now it's available on the web to everybody. Moving on. So again, we've mentioned Perplexity quite a few times. So Perplexity it's a large language model, and they've kind of pinned their colors to we're going to reinvent search mast. So this is where I use this not as much as I probably think I would have done, but I do use sometimes if I'm researching things, to ask questions. You get a response, but also usually, in most cases, the response is referenced. So it tells you where the information came from. What they're trying to do is kind of reinvent search. So one thing I don't find myself using as much, I don't know about you, is Google search. So if it's something that that doesn't need to be kind of up to the minute, some kind of knowledge, for example, like I was in Greece recently, so I'm researching about Knossos Palace in Crete, things like that, as you do, and I tend to use ChatGPT, not Google. And I think what Perplexity want to do is kind of bring that right up to date. So every search you do for Perplexity. Now, we mentioned last week or a few weeks ago, they've done a deal with some of the content publishers so they can access the underlying information and they get paid. So what you're now seeing is search. There's an economic model for people providing them with information, and then they want to create essentially a competitor to Google and Google AdWords, Google AdSense. So they're now launching this, which is going to be really interesting because if this works, it's just changed this search game fundamentally.
Yeah, but also like Perplexity charge people to use their model, but Google is free, isn't it? Right. So again, there's lots of questions around will people still be happy to pay if that's happening in that kind of way, and how those things are. I think like you're right. People search for information in different places at different times. Like when I was in Portugal, there was an earthquake, right? And I was trying to see if there was like any documentation or any news on it, and I was using Twitter. And Twitter, you could see straight away other people had announced everything. Took a while for Google to catch up, but then it did. But then when I'm searching, sometimes I want to find videos or different things. So I do use Google a fair bit, I'll be honest. But if you've got more stuff within, one window, I think it's just going to become a lot easier, isn't it? Because people don't want to go to multiple places and they want to keep their history in one place, essentially, isn't it? So,
well, do you think that Perplexity, though, they've been charging because they've got a huge cost to run these things and develop them? So, but if they've got an advertising model, and obviously they have to pay the publishers as well, but if they've got a model where the advertisers are paying them, for example, which is where they want to go with this, maybe you'll see the subscription turned off.
Maybe, but then at the same time, also then like what dictates the quality of the result? The person the advertisers paid for it. It just gets complicated again, isn't it? Right? The key thing here is the massive costs to fill these models, and the ones with the deepest pockets, like OpenAI or Google, they're the ones that are going to have like the ability to like manage it. But it's interesting to see because Perplexity is the one's going to force a change. Google would not want to change.
And we've said this before, but just to take this thought away if you haven't heard it before, but the internet, in terms of all these little places that you go to called websites with information on them, that is probably going to go away. You're going to have organizations, corporations that have a database of products and information. An AI agent understands that. You'll have a personal AI agent, AI assistant, whatever you want to call it. There's going to connect and talk, aren't they? And just do the deal. You're not going to need the internet in the middle. So search, SEO is all going to change fundamentally at some point in the not too distant future.
There's different levels of abstraction, right? So like, for example, I just booked a driving to France. Like it's the same place we always go to, and I use booking.com. I don't search Google on that place. So I'm already using one level of abstraction, booking.com, right? Like afterwards, when you're using your like AI agent from OpenAI or whatever it is, be like, book me a hotel in the same place that meets the criteria as last time. That will then either decide to use booking.com or maybe a different platform, whatever's based is cheapest. But you're absolutely right. Like the abstraction layer is going to go, higher and higher.
And then when booking.com no longer has traffic, apart from bots and agents, then they don't need a website anymore. So they'll just have an agent that sits there and waits for your agent to turn up. So mark our words, you heard it here first for most people, that is where the internet is going. It takes 5, 10 years to get there. The old internet won't completely disappear like radio didn't, or cinema after TV was invented, but it's going to change. Right, moving on. This is an interesting one. Let's do Alexa first. So we've said on here that it's been just painful to sort of have this experience with large language models, with vision and the idea to talk to you and chatbots. And now you've got ChatGPT, the audio, for example, and these audio models. But you've still got, Alexa, which is just rubbish, absolutely painful. Or not being able to talk to your car, you say turn on the windscreen wipers and it indicates left. So that's all going to change as well. And finally, you're now going to see, this is in October, is that Amazon's, I think they're calling it, I don't know if it's the right name, but Remarkable Alexa. It's going to be powered by Anthropic's Claude AI, which is interesting, which is a very good model. So Alexa is going to soon have the capability of, I don't know if it's a full capability, but the ability to understand and converse with you as if you're talking to the Claude model, which is a complete game changer. Now, the issue clearly is Alexa now is free, because it's quite simple. But now when you're talking to it and it's using Claude, there's going to be a cost. So that now means that Alexa will come with a subscription. So whether people are going to pay that to talk something, I don't know, or whether you're going to use just use Claude on your phone or ChatGPT, it has more functionality. That remains to be seen. But finally, these sort of, maybe Google Home eventually you'll see that as well. But Alexa will become intelligent.
I think you're right. I think there's different domains, right? Like I think like Alexa was already embedded into quite a few appliances, I believe, right? Like so I think if you think
Like
like
Samsung TVs.
yeah, Samsung TV as well. So like if you think about like kind of like kitchen and like and like certain kind of areas of electronics in the home, potentially the Alexa AI becomes the platform essentially, isn't it? Like the standard. And then in the cars, like in different areas that you talked about, could be like these different smaller models and different things like this which are running locally on it, because people are not going to pay a subscription to want, have access to these things, isn't it? Right? And that's where
Well, you're not going to pay a subscription to talk to your fridge.
or that's what I'm saying. Like, so you're going to need to like have an evolution over time. But then if that integrates with like it monitors all your stuff and then it orders according to your diet and stuff like that, then that will come, isn't it? But like,
so Amazon apparently they went with Claude because their models weren't up to scratch, right? And they've invested, Amazon Bedrock, again, I think hundreds of millions or billions, but a
they've got
huge
their own
amount of
views.
money in AI. Exactly. So we talked earlier about, the Microsoft, these smaller Fire models, hopefully designed to run locally, I expect. So why hasn't Amazon created models that can run locally or use models that can run locally? They're just updated over time. Like, I don't know what the processing power of Alexa is.
No, but I think it's such a nascent area. They have to like see like how people are using it and kind of go from there. But right now the costs are enormous to like serve the answers. So that's the issue basically, isn't it? So
Anyway, so I think the big news there really is that for business is that, again, we've always said that natural language is going to become the way in which you communicate with technology.
yeah,
As Aalok said, there's a lot of these things literally littering the sort of planet at the moment in TVs and Alexa sitting by people's bed. You usually ask what time it was or set an alarm or tell you a joke. They're pretty useless, but that is going to change. So when you can talk to technology and they're connected to the outside world, however that might happen, you suddenly have a very, very powerful interface.
exactly, like Amazon's got like their Ring camera and stuff. We've got all that kind of stuff. Imagine you got everything joined up together, isn't it? And you can then talk to Alexa about what's going on in your house, what's going on this. That
Yes, you may end up with one subscription
yeah,
where
for the
it's
whole
covering all of it, actually.
yeah, exactly.
Right. So in business, just again, be aware of that. This is coming. So depending how you talk to your customers or engage with them, this could be a threat, depending where you are, or a huge opportunity. Now, another interesting piece of news, moving on, is again, not really relevant to today, but just to give you an idea of where this is going. So the new AI model called Game Engine, this is basically using, I think it's Gemini, I'm not sure what's the model in itself, but there's this famous game Doom, it's showing my age now, from the 90s. People try to run Doom on all sorts of different things. But again, games are there's kind of a universe that's set, and then depending on what you do, what option or what decisions you make with your joystick, wherever it might be, it's pretty limited. So you've now seen that non-playing NPCs, non-playing characters, can have conversations with and engage you because they can be given personalities and use a large language model. What we're seeing now, though, is that based on decision making, is that the game now can be created on the fly in real time and then rendered. So imagine you're sort of moving through a universe that's actually being rendered in real time, depending on what decisions you've made, which is bonkers if you think about it.
Is that our world?
Exactly. This is the simulation. Yeah, maybe we're all doing it already. We just don't know it yet.
I think it is. The more I'm listening to stuff, though, like it is.
It's like Inception. It's in the simulation within a simulation.
We're all in a head.
But again, this is nascent. This is the beginning. This is a very sort of. This is not. You can't go and use it, right? This is kind of research, really.
Virtual tours and stuff like that.
Yeah, but if you think about where this is going in terms of that and the sort of the metaverse, again, with a not too distant future, our ability to create this is where I'm going with this, personalized experiences in real time for customers. It is coming, and it's coming a lot faster than we thought it was because of the investment in the processing power.
So the most addictive TikTok in the world, AI generated just for your own desires and needs, basically, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, you need to lock it away from your kids, that's for sure.
From everyone.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Again, AI, when we started to implement AI, everybody wanted to talk to us about what is AI and is it going to kill us? And then so we were doing a lot of consultancy and leveling up senior leadership teams and boardroom briefings. And that's kind of moved, quite rightly, to, well, this is all very interesting, all this noise, but how does it help me make money or save money or engage customers in new ways or just do things that humans can't do, right? And that's moved very, very quickly. So ChatGPT, as you all know, got to 100 million used before anything else, faster than anything else in history. And now it's got to 200 million weekly users, right? And I'm assuming, Aalok, this is just a chat bot, okay? It doesn't include people hitting the API. They're using applications like ours, somebody else has created, and that's using the underlying model. This is just people on the actual, in the chat bot. So I don't know how many people have signed up for ChatGPT Plus, but that's a lot of people. So 200 million active users. It's doubled from 100 million in just a year. So obviously you had that huge uptake, but adding 100 million a year with its current capability, which is only going to improve over time. So the take up is absolutely enormous. Now, what's interesting though is when I find it, when we do sort of our workshops, our keynotes, we always ask the room, who's using ChatGPT Plus just personally? You can use it personally to augment yourself, use it for your organization as a business, and then, you know, nation states should be supporting us to you. There are different levels. But I reckon 5 to 10 maximum, even a technical audience, % of people put their hand up and say, yeah, I'm using it myself. So it's still, the penetration is still very, very low, but it's growing very quickly. What that means is people are becoming accustomed and used to its capability, and they're going to expect that in products and services and everything they do.
No, I agree with you. Like, and I think like most people don't use the different facilities and they don't know how to use the tool and they compare it to other stuff. But I mean, it's just going to become more easier and more embedded, basically.
And people, we say this all the time. People, is maybe you've listening to this or watching this, is that people use ChatGPT, okay, use it as an example, the chatbot, and they'll say, write me something that covers this. And it's fair, your request is garbage and what you're going to get back is equally going to be garbage. There's not enough detail. You got to give it, you got to sit there for half an hour, or quite often, you know, giving it context, giving examples of your tone of voice, research,
A very good thinking partner. I find it a very good thinking partner. Like often, like if I've got like something which I'm kind of like stuck with and I've got half the idea, I'll just dictate it into, you know, ChatGPT, which I find it very, very useful. It transcribes perfectly. It'll help reorganize what I've said. Then I can say, okay, keep it in that. Or let's work on this, or let's ask questions. Then sometimes I'll work with both that and Claude, and then it means you can kind of think with it. What I like about it is that you get access to an intelligence, an independent intelligence that isn't swayed by your own ideas, but at the same time, you've got like some standards or different things to it. Like when we were talking about, I don't know, say some subject or some topic which I don't have familiarity with, I can then get an overview from it to be able to start to understand, okay, this makes sense, or how's this, or how's that. It's very useful. Like, but I think like,
I don't think there's anything I do at a computer now that involves creating like documentation or where I don't use it.
Same.
And you learn over time that if you give it the context, the background information it needs, you break it down into, this is what I'm trying to achieve, let's break it down into the different sections, and then you focus on each section rather than trying to do the whole thing at once. You'll find it will blow your mind. I mean, I'm writing some scripts for a course I'm doing, and you know, there's a particular way of doing each part of it. So I train it on that by giving examples and layouts and structures. And then when I ask people I'm doing it with, I say, well, what do you think of this? Yeah, there's nothing to be changed at all. And because I've trained on my tone of voice, when I read it back to myself thinking, can I say this into a teleprompter? And I read it, it's absolutely fine, it's spot on. So the point here is that 200 million people are now using it. Of those 200 million, probably 5 million using it properly. So if you become one of the 5 million using it properly and really know how to use it, I'm telling you right now, it'll change everything you do.
Yeah, your career trajectory, absolutely.
Right, moving on. So we have been touching on, we're not doing a huge amount of time in the Midjourney yet, but robotics as a service, because we think that the next step for organizations implementing AI will be implementing embodied AI, which is robotics essentially. So that's about the hardware, the financing, what it does, how it does it, setting it up, supporting it, you know, spare parts, if you run into a wall, whatever it might be. And one of the companies we've been following and been talking to a little bit is Unitary. So they've now, and what's interesting, you're seeing companies like, you know, Boston Dynamics, these robots are becoming much more human looking to the extent they need to be. I don't know why they always need to be, but I think it just seems to be
Because the world
where
is
things are
designed for
going.
humans. The world is all like a table and
But they're
everything.
getting smoother, aren't they? You can have something which has got a human form, but it looks like, you know, a load of wires and big
Yeah,
sheets of metal. But they're getting kind of smoother and looking more like a human. And Unitree, that their new product G2, they're now designing it for mass production. So you might see some of the robots you're seeing, like OpenAI. What's it called? What's the OpenAI one called? What's the OpenAI one called? Figure, that's it. So Figure AI. So they look very, very, very good looking sort of humanoid robot, but they're making one a week at the moment, right? So it's going to be very, very expensive, and it's still research, I would say. Whereas Unitree now are designing these things to go into mass production. So that's quite interesting in that you're now going to see these things, and I don't know what the price is, a lot, but you're getting these things now, especially the quadrupeds. Like
they're all quoting
15,000.
between 15 to 30,000.
Yeah.
Basically, they're all talking
Bonkers,
about that kind of. And for Tesla, for example, they even say that opportunity is way bigger than the car opportunity. And I saw just recently, like this week, a new humanoid robot designed for tasks in the house, doing some folding of clothes and stuff like this. Like it's going to be quite crazy.
I need one of those.
I mean,
I need a few of those.
Compare your Alexa to that, basically, isn't it? Like you know, like something which can walk around and actually do stuff.
Alexa, do the ironing. Brilliant.
Exactly.
That's what you want. Alexa, not what time is it? So yes, I mean £15,000, right? So what we're looking at again is okay. It's all right. One is pitching up in a box, but then what? How do you get it to do what you need it to do?
How does it know what your home needs and all that kind of stuff and everything?
Integrate it into your business or your home. So I think they're right. I think, you know, you've probably seen the film I, Robot, but you know, there will be these things just wandering around amongst us within a decade. Millions of them. So that's quite interesting. So we're at some point we're determined to get our hands on one and start playing with it. Right, moving on. Again, the last thing, which is more about really, it's just an interesting one, is that Anthropic have published Claude system prompt. So you might not always think this, but these large language models, when you talk to them, you're providing context and information, but they have their own prompts in terms of how they respond to you. And it's really interesting. Just if you can, just go and Google it or Perplexity it, whatever the verb's going to be. Perplex it. It's going to have a look at this because it's quite interesting just seeing what they tell it, how they give it a personality, how they tell it what it can do, what it can't do, how it should respond, because prompting is still a really valuable skill. I thought even by now prompting would be less important, but it isn't. There's still, you need something the interface between you and the AI, and the prompt is typically it. So whether you're generating a prompt using technology or you're writing it yourself, it's worth reading the Claude prompt just to see how they do it actually. And these people are the experts, and not just what it says, but how they set it out and how they've written it. I think is quite interesting.
I think they've changed it as well recently or something, because like I was doing something where I was trying to analyze a particular piece of some calls, and I was working on a script and a rewrite of it, and it actually refused. It said I can't do this basically, and it's like, well, and I asked it like it's for like a research thing to try and understand this, and it wouldn't do it. So I had to use a different AI to kind of like do that with basically. But I think like over time, as these kind of like as more and more people kind of reach it, it has to become more and more restricted a little bit, you know, like so I think that's where, like, you know, depending on what you're trying to get done, you need to understand that what the tool can do and won't do, basically, isn't it? So absolutely.
Yeah, I was reading there that the Claude won't do facial recognition, for example, and they've told it how polite to be. So often when they're responding to these things, you think it's being intelligent. Sometimes it's just being told to respond to you in that way. So and you sometimes you mix that up with it sort of responding to the human-like way, but it's told to be polite or inquiring. Anyway, it's worth looking at because it's just really quite interesting in terms of learning as much as you possibly can about how to prompt. Right, so that's the news, really. There is other news, lots of models and things, but that's the news you need to know if you're in business. That's what we focus on. So if you're new to our podcast, if you're not, fantastic, welcome back. Please do not forget to leave us a review or rate us on the Apple platform. If you're new to the podcast, again, it's myself, Aalok, and myself. We focus on AI for business news, which is key, not all the consumer stuff because there's a huge amount of it. We try and cut through the noise. We have a theme each week, and we're going to come on to one in a moment. So we have a training academy. So as we said, Using chatbots or AI is one thing. Knowing how to use them and knowing how they work is another thing. So training often is the first way to create competitive advantage. We've got a training academy that allows you to do that. We've got a resource center. So you've got lots of different white papers from, augmenting your employees, the new one about putting AI to work. You can go and read in there. And our AI assisted organization kind of foundational white paper, lots in there, lots of demos. So including call agents, which are really quite interesting. So if you just go to our website, click on Resource Center, it's implementai.io, click on the Resource Center, you can see all of that. We're actually about to change the website and update it all because we're launching our AI agent platform, which we're going to come and talk about in a moment. And every week we try and get it out. We have the AI Insider newsletter. So it's insights, a bit of this news, sometimes a bit more updated, AI for business news, insights, and sort of strategy really about how you create what we call an AI assisted organization, hence the name of the podcast, and how you put AI to work today.
Team of AI in every business.
Exactly. So the way we look at it is you're going to have human resources, your human workforce, and you're going to have an AI virtual workforce.
Give your team a team.
Give each member of your team a team, exactly that. And it's how you put them together and augment them. They're not going to replace humans for the foreseeable future. That's a whole different podcast. But for now, it's about augmenting them. And also, in some cases, let's face it, some of the AIs can do things that humans can't do. They're beyond
or don't have the time to do. Like people just got limited.
Or don't want to do.
Exactly. Like, because let's say you got like every day in the last 2 hours, please do this. I'm sorry, I was so busy with the other stuff, I never got around to doing that, or a complaint comes up or something. So I think the key thing here is like, how do you get a team within your business, basically? And that's what we're focused on, isn't it?
So sign up and leave us a review. The review really helps if you enjoyed the podcast. Right, let's move on to our theme this week. So AI agents is, we spent 18 months talking about, consulting with companies, talking to them,
building different
proposals, building different ones, testing them, proof of concepts, MVPs, and building AI agents. So both, we call them interactive, ones that have humans in the loop, and embedded, they're kind of behind the scenes, usually, for example, crunching data, where they're kind of autonomous typically. And we've got to the point where we're deploying AI agents for some of our customers. But the question is, what do customers really want? And as Aalok just sort of alluded to, is having a virtual workforce, or having each person that works for you, they have their own individual workforce. So it's typically more than one agent. And that's why we've developed the AI agent platform. And Aalok, I'll let you introduce it.
Yeah, perfect. So the whole point is like, as a business owner or a company leader, you need more productivity. So you need more things done. There are more platforms to work on. There are more tasks than ever before. So the whole point here with the agent platform is you can get a team of 7 to add to your business, and typically for less than the price of half of one employee, basically. So the whole point here is that, like, rather than just having singular things that can do things, you can get a team of AI agents that can really help you with 3 areas. 1, driving more sales. 2, enhancing customer experience. And 3, training employees faster. They're very different things, right? But at the same time, all of this is AI that's in the real world, and it's beyond the browser. Like, using ChatGPT and stuff is fine, but everything sits within a box and it doesn't change anything in the real world. We're talking about AI agent team that can help you drive more sales, enhance customer experience, and train employees faster. So they're interacting in the real world. So the whole point is, like, for example, let's look at like driving more sales. The point is they can work even when your team don't. So let's say, for example, you want to contact people in the evenings or weekends, like, I don't know, for like real estate or for like consumer reactivation or for anything like that. You can scale customer reactivation calls and sales outreach, or even prospecting. Imagine you want to kind of call 100 businesses in a particular thing and find out if they've got a particular piece of equipment or if they've got a particular problem. Your AI can be doing all those things for you, and then they can be helping your team give them warm leads, essentially. The second part is enhancing customer experience. So having a speedy and expert support team. Customers these days are so impatient. If you send something and you get no response or even acknowledgement of response, you think something's wrong, basically. And people these days tend to react more negatively, write bad reviews and different things like this, and it can escalate in a negative way. So being able to deliver instant personalized support with AI agents by phone, messaging, 24/7, 365, and also having them as being intelligent. This is the key thing. By the time you reach a support person or a support agent, you want to know about you, know about your account, know about your past things. So the whole point, having intelligent agents that can access those things and then support you, that's a very good thing as well. And then training employees faster. So this is another very key thing. Like, how much knowledge is there locked up in all of your team members' heads? And if a new person comes in, your existing senior team members are busy doing their job. So they don't have much time necessarily for the junior to be observing them, or even like role playing with them, or even like showing them what good looks like in an ideal consultation. And again, it relies on the person remembering all those things, versus having tools which basically can help every employee be a top performer, helping them discover answers faster and guide customers more effectively, by almost giving them tools a bit like Waze, but for your organization's intelligence.
You
So
love that, don't you? You love that Waze analogy.
yeah, it is, because like honestly, it's like, turn left, turn right, like know what to do, say this, ask this question. Those things can kind of work like that. So they're the three groups basically.
So that's stop there. That's train. I say it's training,
Yeah,
onboarding,
yeah,
and real time, which is kind of training, but it's kind of real time guidance,
Organization.
even live, isn't it?
Yes.
In a conversation or a consultation. I think one other thing I'd add, you've got to drive more sales, customer experience, training, onboarding, and guidance is the insights, it's the data, it's the
Yes.
embedded agents, the ones that do things that humans can't with data.
Yes, exactly. So that's the other thing. So then there's other agents within there that, like for example, like the call analyst one, which is listening to all the calls or even all the consultations and discovering, what hidden opportunities there are and different things. And then this is the big idea. The more these agents work within your business and the more they do for you, the greater the amount of insights that you're going to be able to develop over time, because it becomes a storage platform. The AI memory for the agents helps you actually discover even more insights over time, and that becomes a competitive advantage. So shall we go through the different agents up here, so at least it kind of like helps people understand?
Yeah, and just on that, what it's storing again, which is something we'll talk about, is unstructured information as well, which is organizations have, we've had this whole era of big data, right? Everyone's terrified of it. It was very expensive. Now it isn't. So holding and using unstructured information is again going to be a huge competitive advantage.
Exactly. So let's have a look. So for example, there's two groups essentially. There's the conversation agents, and then there's the data agents within the agent platform essentially. So one would be like the sales call agent, where you've got a team of essentially an AI team of sales reps that could reach out, reactivate any customer. So imagine, for example, you got a website and people opt in on the website and you want them to be called straight away, ask some questions and be sent a report or sent a guidance. That can do that straight away. Or you've got loads of people that inquired about your business in the past and you're not sure if they're still interested in your service. They can call them and find out their details in that kind of simple way. And this is like, you can set it up in a campaign where it will always do that. Same thing for the different one, which is a support call agent. So the whole point there is like, could you provide round-the-clock customer support without increasing headcount? So we were talking with a different business, and they actually have customers in the States and in Australia, for example, right? So very different time zones. And at the same time, they also sometimes work with different languages. So right now it can do everything in English around the clock, but it can also add in different language capabilities as well. So it's able to provide, different support in different ways. So that again means that like it can always answer in the correct way. And it can also do things in a very seamless, like straightforward way. And it also means that it knows for that account what phone conversations it's had and what messaging conversations it's had, basically.
Yeah, it's good for triage, isn't it? So you may not completely replace the humans on the phones. What you're going to do there is deal with all the sort of basic calls, and then your human resources can focus on the ones that add more value. They're going to keep customer happy, they solve a problem, or ideally, convert a sale.
Exactly. And then other thing is like messaging agents. So for example, to boost marketing response, you have to be more interactive. So if you're able to message, customers and at the same time also have two-way conversations with them, discover their goals and needs, and that's all linked to the central brain. So it already knows what phone conversations happened in the past or what, account information they've got. It means that you can provide instant personalized responses no matter what time they reached out, because many people, evenings, weekends, that's when they're interested. So you want to be able to engage at those points in time. And then again, helping to your team members, having an AI call analyst so if every single customer call you could turn into actionable insights that directly boosted your sales or service quality, like that's a brilliant thing. So it listens to all the calls automatically, scores them, identifies missed opportunities, identifies, areas for training and potential complaints, and helps you understand where you need to target and go with things. And that's doing that all the time for you. So then that can help you.
What's amazing now, like I found that we've had customers that have said to us, I'm paying 5 people to listen to phone calls. Might be for compliance, right?
Yeah.
There's no need for that anymore. Or we say, well, you record all your phone calls. Yes, we do. And what do you do with it? Nothing. It's like, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? I mean, I can see why, because
Yeah. But it's comical. It's comical.
It is bonkers, isn't it? Whereas now, all the information, imagine it in there. There's something of value in there.
There are sales opportunities. There's many sales opportunities, training opportunities, even documentation updates. Like all that kind of stuff. So all those things can be within there. And then at the same time also, like, moving further forward, with the data agent group. So like, what if your team had access to, product knowledge when they need it, right when they need it, like all the information in that way. So that's where having an AI knowledge base for any organization is important. So they can understand, how things are done in the business, best way to answer questions, ways to reference things and do things. And that's where you've almost got your own GPT for your business, uniquely trained with all your documentation, everything. And that could be department wide, or it could be like business wide, whatever you want. But the point is, looking for information is eliminated. So you stop wasting all that time with the delays and also the wrong things.
Both internally, and also the idea of an FAQ goes away.
Yes, so you can do it internally or externally, absolutely. So it could be an interactive kind of customer support agent in that way, or it can also be, for your own team members, like a new person, how do I do this? How do I do that? You can put that in and it will be able to help you with that. Then the second one is like sales coach, so performance coaching. So if your team is having a conversation in real time, like a Google Teams meeting or a phone call, they can actually have on their screen shown what questions to ask, what products that person might be interested in, and the key features of that product. So, for example, you could then take a smart person who doesn't know anything about your industry and be able to discuss detailed technical information about a particular product because it's highlighted to them in real time. And they can also then say, this model has this features, and it also comes with this. And they say, okay, what service plans do you have? And it then prompts them and shows them the service plans we have as this. So again, it's like augmenting that person so that they behave like a top performer, but they may have just started the business that morning, basically, right? But they know what to do and say in those regards. So that's massively important. And then the other thing is then with consultations, there's many businesses where there's a structured consultation, either for onboarding or initial quote assessment or anything like this. This is like helping guide them with what questions to ask in a structured way, have the conversation, it automatically organizes everything. And then it means that everything is already there. And on top of that, they can role play with it. So they could have different versions of the customer avatar inside there, and they can just talk with it and then experience how that customer would be. And they can actually get much better. So what this does, this group of agents, is it's giving you, like I say, the ability to engage customers better, support customers better, support your team with the right answers, and at the same time also, give them, practice, competence, and confidence, basically, in all those sorts of things. So
and also just go through memory. So that's key, isn't it? But having the two things actually. One is the memory, and one is the power of unstructured information.
Yeah. So the thing is, all of these agents, they then populate a common memory bank for your business. And then you start to understand, okay, this customer from this phone number messaged about this, they called about this, they then had a consultation about this, and then they were interested in these products. You can start to build over time a lot of insight over different people. And this becomes a competitive advantage over time because you can then, personalize different campaigns, different offers, different information to different people. And having this memory becomes a competitive advantage because it means that you know your customers. People always say that, okay, do you know your customer? And I've got the same team member that's been with me for 10 years. He knows all the customers. Great. That's perfect. If they leave, all that memory disappears, basically. This way, you actually can have everything within your organization where it won't leave. And any team member could behave as if they perfectly knew this person likes this and doesn't like this and wants it in that way, basically. So that helps you with that. Also, the power of all this unstructured data, because all this data, like the phone calls, the conversations, the insights, the support messages, all that kind of stuff, you can gain insights from that to start to understand, is this person a power user? Do they have other capabilities? Are they supposed to be on this plan? Should they be on a different plan? Are there any other products or services which we've noticed that complaints happen from that we should introduce, or different things? You can start to really redefine what you offer. So we think it's quite exciting to be able to give a team of 7 for the less than the price of half. And we want to work with more businesses that want to build their agent team and help support their regular team, basically.
And I think when you hear that, you might think, isn't that what CRM does? CRMs don't. What they tend to do, they don't. Well, they don't. No, I mean just the data side of it. What CRM tends to be, you're trying to extract nuggets of information that fit into a particular field in a database. It's a flat database. Our structure is very different. So this is another layer above your CRM. So imagine you want to create some personalized content, right? So you're going to have the AI, the content creation AI. You're going to take information from your CRM, who our email address, what products they've got, how much they're spending, whatever. But then you've got this huge amount of unstructured information where you can say, based on all that information, that color about this particular customer, write an email about Christmas or their hobby or whatever the hell it is. And then you create something very, very different, something you've never been able to do before. So think of this as another layer above your custom information in a way that can be used in powerful ways. And that's where you create more personalized experiences. And the memory is perfect recall, right? Let's not remember that, forget that. This is not about, should I add this? Should I, not as perfect in terms of the underlying data. Is perfect in things like, don't forget the upsell. So if something triggers an upsell, often humans, and I've employed lots of human salespeople, they'll just forget it. They'll have a bad day. They're about to go for lunch. And these agents don't forget that. They will always make sure that the upsell, the cross-sell happens.
The other important thing is things don't appear in a CRM automatically. Someone has to type it into the CRM, right? So that's based on what they remembered and what they actually spent time typing after a conversational counter. This memory happens automatically. You just do whatever conversations, whatever's happening, listening to phone calls, listening to messages, everything like that, like consultations, it's loading in automatically. So I think all business owners know that like records don't always get updated in the correct way. That's where having an agent team which can help assist your team can really help you in those sorts of ways as well.
You made a good point. I like it when you say that we're kind of going beyond the browser, because software as a service, typically it's some software on a screen that somebody sat in front of, pressing buttons, typing stuff, transposing things, reading, or not even talking to it yet. So it's still very much human in the loop. Whereas this now goes beyond that. You're actually interacting with the end customer. The software is doing it, and that's why we're moving from the software as a service to services as software. It's a very, very different model. And it's going to fundamentally change how you use software generally.
No, I agree. And I think that's the exciting part.
Anything else on our platform, or we're going to keep some of it slightly a secret for the launch? You want to know more about that? Watch this space. We'll be talking about it more. But again, AI agents are going to change the game. They're going to change how you operate your business. And what we're trying to do is design ways in which you can use this technology in your business today to actually make a difference, rather than just talk about it. So that's coming very, very soon. Every week we try and choose an AI of the week. Now I've done this one several times, right? But I'm going to do it again. It's Midjourney, not because it's changed or it's model 6.1. I mentioned it a few weeks ago, but because now it's available on the web. So if you've used things like Darlin, there's also lots of other ones you can go out there, Leonardo. Go to midjourney.com, midjourney, one word.com, and use it and do some research on what prompts should look like. Think of something in your head, an image, and try and create it. It'll blow your mind, and you'll begin to understand the power of this technology in terms of its creativity. And like I always say, I think creatively. I wave my hands around a lot. I think in pictures. I'm useless at drawing stuff, but I can now get images out of my head almost perfectly. A film still, even that kind of quality, using Midjourney. It is mind-blowing. So go and have a play with it, and again, it'll just give you another sort of inkling as to where the technology is going, and that's going to transform everything you do. That's it. We try and keep this short and sweet every week, so we know you're busy, you've got things to do. So again, look out for our demos on LinkedIn. We're going to be launching the AI agent platform quite soon, updating the website. Leave us a review. It really does help. If you'll enjoy the podcast, if you learned something that's added value, you think it's been helpful, especially on the Apple platform, leave a review. Let us know what you think. And please share our podcast and our content with anyone you think could benefit from it. And don't forget to sign up for the AI Insider newsletter. I think that's it for this week. We're back. So we'll hopefully be back same time-ish, same place next week. Anything to add, Aalok?
Yeah, all good.
Great. Well, this is the AI Assisted Organization podcast. We'll see you again next week.
See ya.